It just boggles my mind, the vastness of this place. And so many people just scattered through so many remote areas. The only way to get in there is by plane.
My name is Wendell Downs. I'm the pastor of the Dillingham, Alaska Seventh-day Adventist Church. We're going to be taking a little flight today over to one of our local villages close by. Two of them actually. One is Manicodic, and then a little farther away over to Togiak.
Well, I'm Jim Bingman. I live in Dillingham. Started going to Togiak 10 years ago and visiting one. And that's grown into a church of 15 to 20 that come regularly. I've lost 3 airplanes in the process.
Our regular church membership here in Dillingham is probably around 20 to 50.
This plane belongs to Judy and Gavin Thompson.
In 2006, my husband Gavin Thompson and I and my daughter Melissa arrived, and little did we know the adventures that awaited us.
One thing about these fish, they no longer have any issues. Not like some of our folks.
We began to notice that a lot of people were disappearing during Sabbath school. And as we asked around, we discovered that these people were flying out to some of the local villages to run church services in Sabbath school and do Bible studies.
There's actually about 8 of us that leave, or 9 that leave church and head to the different villages. We have our church body that stays here. They do ministry work here in town.
We've been coming down to the jail for a number of years. One of the pastor's wives started a jail ministry, and 7 days a week we come down here if the inmates want, and we give them Bible studies. We have a little program like we have singing for a while. Bristol Bay area has about 32 villages. They always end up here, either coming or going, and sometimes both. And so when we do Bible studies in our program, we get to touch a lot of lives. What they learn here, they take back home, and it's very helpful to them.
Over the years, there have been a number of challenges to the work in Alaska, especially in Togiak. The only way to get out there is by plane or by boat in the summertime. So it's not cheap to fly out there every Sabbath. The conference has a budget for the mission plane that's based here at the hangar in Dillingham, Alaska.
That's dead.
And the budget is equivalent to approximately 2.5 hours flying per month. And that is mostly reserved for the pastor, Wendell Downs, who also looks after the church at Aleknagik and Manicodic and Ekwok and some of these other villages. So there's not very much budget for flying time to get to the villages. So we came to a debate as to how we were actually going to fund the trips out every Sabbath. And finally, we just decided that if God provided the airplane and God provided the hangar to put it in, then surely He could provide fuel to keep it in the air. So we decided that since the budget was completely used up for that month, but we still wanted to go, we had an airplane, we had good weather, we had people willing to go, we said, okay, we're going to go.
I like to go over to Togiak when there's room, and what I do when I go over there is invite people. This is late in the season, so we're going to pick some of the wild spinach or sourdough. These are beaver trails going through here. You can see where the beaver's been cutting down the brush. And when you give them to elders, they get so happy, you know, because they're unable to get it for themselves.
Behind me here, you see the old Togiak Seventh-day Adventist Church. Behind us, we see the new Seventh-day Adventist Church that is just under construction.
Gavin and I were going over there to finish the baptistry before camp meeting, and we were going to fix that up and get it going, because there was 2 girls that wanted to be baptized this spring during native camp meeting, but things happened that we didn't get that done.
My advice to anybody, if you go out in an airplane, especially in winter, dress in the clothes that you would like to land in, irrespective of where the landing is. And take your emergency bag with you. Don't leave it behind on the back of the pickup. You might just need that stuff.
I mean, we weren't thinking of anything going wrong. I climbed up to 700 feet, and when I hit 700 feet, I flew into the bottom of a cloud. And so I got down out of that just almost immediately, lowered the nose, and the next thing that I could see out the side windows, I could see down, I could see a couple miles either way, and all of a sudden I was going from Kevin's side of the airplane over to my side, and I saw something dark in front of the windshield, and I looked, and there was a bush about 300 yards or less in front of me, and I just had time to, I was traveling at 120 miles an hour, and I just had time to rotate, and we hit the mountain and bounced and continued to fly, then up the mountain, but right into the fog. And the next time we hit, we made a nice 3-point landing, and beautiful landing, but the airport was too short.
And the plane started to slow down, but just as it was almost stopped,
hit the other side,
and the plane flipped over.
It was the best toboggan sled ride you'll ever have. My head was about 2 inches from the ground, and brush coming through. The windshield was gone. Brush coming in and slapping us, just slapping the window right in front of us, or slapping where the window should have been. And then the airframe would just mow it off. But yeah, you'd sliding, looking down the hill for a ways, and then a wing would catch, and you'd spin around and be looking up the hill going backwards. And on the way down, Gavin asked me if I was hurt, and I said no. I asked him if he was hurt, and he said, no, I'm fine. He said, how far are we going to slide? And I said, to the bottom. And he says, how far is the bottom? And I looked down the hill and up the hill, and I said, well, we're about halfway there. And so we just continued to slide. But we were talking. Neither one of us were petrified. When we got out of the airplane at the bottom, I took off and went up to get our New Beginnings book that we had with us. And we retrieved this part of it. And this was the part that we hadn't shown yet. We hadn't given these lessons yet. So the part that we didn't retrieve, we had made copies of, and so we had those in a different folder. But this was what was left of our New Beginnings book. And we continued the next week to go over there and continued our lessons. So it worked out fine.
I'd like to give you a new book to start with. I think you've made good use of this one, and we appreciate that very much. And I know you'll make good use of the next one too.
Well, thank you. That'll be greatly appreciated. We will make good use of it.
After Jim and Gavin crashed their plane, Jim was out of a plane at that point, and so Gavin and Judy purchased a plane, and Judy's learning to fly. They are taking a very active role in working in the village of Togiak.
From the experiences that we've had here, think of the churches throughout the North Pacific Union or throughout the whole lower 48 of the world, what it would be like if half of the church congregation every Sabbath left the church and went out and ministered to those cities around them and to the people around them. I guess that's what spreading the gospel is all about. And that's probably what I would say Sabbath is about. It's not just going to church and sitting in church and going home, but it's actually
telling somebody else.
It's spending Sabbath, sharing the love of the Lord and sharing that being with others.